Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. I am here to teach you my favorite tricks for calming down on demand, figuring out how to stop your mind from racing. And what I know from my own experience and from talking to thousands of parents is that some of us, many of us, I don't know the percentages, can fall asleep. We're feeling so tired. We fall asleep, right, by crashing in the evening. We finally get the kids to bed. We finally fall asleep. Maybe we fall asleep in their beds because we're just so tired. And then something wakes us up in the middle of the night and our mind is just on. Our mind is on all the time and it becomes impossible to shut it off. It can keep you awake for hours in the middle of the night, even if you're exhausted. Or maybe you're the person who stays up and can't fall asleep, even though you are tired to the bone, but your mind is so wired and it's so revved up that you just can't settle down. Now, this happens because as parents, we are constantly in a state of what needs to be done, what hasn't been done, and a state of triage of like what absolutely needs to be done right now. And we're constantly tasking and we're constantly thinking about what hasn't gotten done, what's getting done now, and what still needs to get done. And it's just this never-ending list of things that can occupy your mind. And after a while, that process, that feeling of thinking about things, what did I already do? What needs to be done? And what am I doing right now? Right? It's that never-ending to-do list. It becomes in your brain, it becomes a pathway for it to function. And it becomes sort of an addictive process for your brain that it becomes impossible for it to shut off. It's like constantly training in this particular way so that anytime it's awake, it's going to be processing in this way because that's what it's become comfortable doing. So that's why that happens. So if you're somebody who can't fall asleep or you wake up in the middle of the night and can't fall back to sleep and you're just consumed with worry and your brain is like, a bullet train of thoughts just kind of flying through, or you're consumed with worry and you're thinking about things that happened that made you so worried, or things that are happening now that are consuming your worry, or your future tripping, and you're thinking about what's going to happen in the future, what could happen in the future, and you start playing out all those scenarios. I remember having these like mental flow charts in my head, about scenarios big and small with my kids, like, anything from food plans. I've got one picky eater in particular. If that doesn't work out, then I'll plan this thing, and if then that doesn't work out, then this will happen. But if it does work out, then this will happen. It's like all these mental flowcharts, from the mundane to like food, to family trips, or to school choices, or to summer camps for the kids. Anything that required a decision, my brain would just like go into high gear and start flow charting it out. And that is definitely a sign of anxiety, of an anxious mind. And it's not always a problem if you're having a certain amount of anxiety, but when it tips over into keeping you up at night, when it tips over into worry, when it becomes a part of your physiology and you become so stressed out with thought that the stress actually starts washing over your body and you can't turn it off, that becomes a problem. So I'm just here to help you name it, help you understand what's going on a little bit, and most importantly, how to slow it down. And for those of you who don't know me very well, I've been doing this work with parents for years, and I help parents with problems big and small. And what I really enjoy doing is helping parents figure out how to shortcut things that I had to figure out the hard way with my own children. And I had a head start on parenting because I was working with other people's kids for years before I had kids of my own. So by the time I became a parent, I was really very well prepared in certain ways to manage my kids' behavior and discipline them in a way that felt good for me. So I was able to do those things. But what I wasn't prepared for was the amount of emotional triggering that I would experience raising my own kids. I had never been so sleep fatigued. I had never been so consumed with the weight of responsibility that I felt when I had my first child. I was like, oh my gosh, this is on my watch. Like his life and his well-being, his everything is on my watch. And I just felt the gravity of that so heavily. And it started a very early process for me in my own mind of being hyper alert, hyper vigilant, and really unable to slow things down. So I had to learn a whole new set of skills myself to handle my insides. I could handle the outsides with my kids pretty well, and that's, a lot of what I teach parents is how to do that. But then there's this whole inner game that happens, which is really about how do you manage your internal landscape? How are you growing inside as your children are growing on the outside? What are they triggering in you that will come up and might make you feel really impatient or really anxious or really angry on a dime, and you either know why or you don't know why. And there are all these things that come up that constitute our inner game of parenting. And from where I sit, it's such a wonderful opportunity to grow as an individual. And it's such an opportunity to learn and to have your children be your teachers. Um, but there's a struggle in there. It's not always easy. And if especially, I just want to give a shout out to you if you have a child who does not have a very sunny, easy temperament. A lot of parents have kids who are challenging from day one. Either they're colicky or they don't sleep or they are, they don't eat very well, or they become picky eaters or fussy eaters, or changing the diaper is, a nightmare. And, meanwhile, all of the books and all of the other parents seem to be talking about these scenarios that really don't apply. And, I had definitely both of my kids are strong-willed, and they're challenging in different ways. And listen, parenting is hard no matter what, and kids are challenging no matter what. But if you've got a kid who sort of doesn't do what all the books are saying they're going to do, and all of the methods, the typical discipline methods, the typical ways of parenting aren't really sinking in with your kid. You're not getting the behavior that you want, you're not getting the cooperation that you want, and you're trying to be calm and your kid just keeps setting you off and setting you off and setting you off, then you're going to have to be utilizing a different set of tools in addition to that stuff. And the whole set of tools has to do with keeping yourself calm and being able to then access all of the other parenting ideas, creative parenting solutions that are probably in your mind somewhere, or if they're not in your mind, you're able to learn them, but you're not able to access all of the good stuff if you're not calm. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood, so let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.